My name is Raquel Robinson. I'm the Executive Director at Berkeley Youth Living with Disabilities.
What is Build House?
Build House is an ICF DDH. It is an intermediate care facility for developmentally disabled children and young adults.
How many people live?
Currently, we have 5 clients that live here, and we have a capacity for 6.
How did Build House start?
How did it start? Back in 1996, Eileen Alpendary wanted to open up a community-based housing for her son and children like him. So in 2001, Build House opened to provide families in the East Bay to have a residence for their children that's close to them, but independent from their home.
Do you know about the process of how it was built?
Do you know the process of how it was built?
Well, I know that it started off with an idea of trying to get funding through the city of Berkeley, and this home was actually given to the agency by the city for specifically this use. So we don't actually own the home, but we can maintain this as long as it's what we say it's for, and it's for low-income housing for developmentally disabled people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. How much did the resident pay to live here?
How much do the residents
The residents do not pay to live here. Each one of the residents receive benefits through Medi-Cal. So that money is given to us by the state, and then we're able to, payroll, pay the bills, and that's probably about 90% of our funding, and the other percentage comes from donations and grants.
How did you start working?
How did you start working here?
I started working here 4 years ago. I'm from New York, and I had moved out here and was looking for, employment, of course. And I just finished graduate school. I have a master's in public administration. And they were looking for an executive director. And I've been working in this field for over 14 years. So it was a nice fit.
Build House benefits the community?
Do you think Build House benefits the community?
Definitely. I think we have our residents have a lot to offer. 3 of our residents go to Berkeley High School, and the other 2 that were, one of our residents passed away earlier this year. He had graduated from Berkeley High School, David Alfendary, and one of our other clients graduated from Berkeley High School, and he now goes to a day program. They're well known in the community. We try to get them out. They go to the farmers market, they go to local stores, so they are a part of this community.
How is the relationship with the neighbors?
How is the relationship with the neighbors?
Pretty positive. The neighbor that lives to the left and the right of us have been here, since we opened 10 years ago. And the process that you have to go through is, in terms of opening up a facility like this, is to go to a town hall meeting and share, what type of residence you want to open and the population that you're going to service. So they knew from the beginning that we were coming and what we're all about. I think there was only one neighbor who was not very friendly, and she has since moved. So everyone else is pretty friendly. So.
What?
Do you think something like Build House for people with high functioning disabilities would work?
I think so. I mean, there are a lot of, not in Berkeley, I don't think there may be, I'm not really sure about any community-based type, facilities like this. This is geared towards, residents who are medically fragile and have, severe, disabilities. Most of our clients here are nonverbal, and require 24-hour care. So, but higher functioning, which we are in the process of admitting one of our newest residents who is higher functioning than the other clients that live here. He's verbal, he can get around on his own, with his chair. I think it definitely works. We're looking to expand and, open up a facility that houses children and young adults. And sometimes, higher functioning, I think it would definitely work.
It's important to have the ability
Do you think it's important to have these in community settings as opposed to larger institutions?
I think so. I mean, I'm in New York. I worked for a very large agency that had a lot of different housing for developmentally disabled population. But each facility, I mean, it was a huge agency, but they had homes. So I think it's really getting away from the institutionalized type setting and having a more home base and community type feel is a lot better. I mean, if you didn't know, if you wouldn't know that we are an agency that houses developmentally disabled children until you come inside. So, and still when you go inside, it's a home because it's their home. So I think that's, it takes away from the, institutional type setting. So it's more of a home life environment.
How does the personal care work?
How does the personal care work?
In terms of what the overall caring for, our clients here, 3 of them are in wheelchairs, so they need assistance with everything. And we have staff that, will bathe them and get them ready and change them and dress them and give them meds, and some of them need assistance with feeding, and so it's the whole package, and it's all consuming.
Do the residents like living here?
I think so. I think we really try to create a very home-like environment. Their families are very involved. So I think they really do. We try to make sure that they have fun and they get out and enjoy the community, and it's a nice, quiet, and the staff is very caring and attentive. So I think they do enjoy living here.
Build House of nonprofit.
Yes, it is a nonprofit.
Is it funded through the government or private donation?
Both. We're funded. Each resident gets benefits through Medi-Cal for being developmentally disabled, and that's a huge part of our funding. And then the rest come from private donations, and we also apply for grants.
Advice for people who are
Do you have any advice for people starting something like Build House?
I think it can be difficult, especially right now in terms of economics and trying to find housing. I think if right now we had to look to purchase a house, raising that type of capital would be a challenge in this environment. I think that it's something that can be done. But I think when you're relying on such a large portion of your funding to come from the government and Medi-Cal, and they continue to institute, cuts, in terms of funding. So I mean, we've been waiting for like the past year and a half because they said they were going to cut our funding by 10%, which is huge in the big scheme of things, because the needs for these, kids, they don't change, and everything continues to get, more and more expensive. So how they could justify, lowering their rate, and the funding, and where when everything else continues to become more and more expensive is kind of crazy. It is a challenge. They don't make it easy in terms of funding. You have to really fight. Every year you have to do a redetermination to, state that yes, this person is still disabled. That whole sending it in and getting it approved, and and it falls through the cracks, and they don't wait. They just cut you off, and then you have to fight to get Medi-Cal turned back on, and it can be a challenge. So, I mean, I'm going through that right now with one of our clients. We have not been paid since January for them, and they will place them in various managed care programs, which is fine if they lived at home, but since they live in a long-term care facility, if they're in a managed care program, we don't get paid. So it's getting that person, identifying what managed care program they've been placed in, getting them disenrolled, and then getting them put back on straight Medi-Cal. And it's a long, painful process. So,
how are you coping with all the budget cuts?
How are you coping with all the budget cuts?
We've saved, and we try to be fiscal responsible, in terms of our spending. So I really try to stay within budget. I try not to go over budget with, and we count all of our pennies, and, and thankfully we've been able to maintain. But it is a challenge. It is as things go up, and and it's a house, and tomorrow Sears has to come out and repair the dishwasher, and that's money. And 2 months ago the oven broke, so that was so there's always something. But I think through saving and just trying to be really responsible in terms of our spending, and we try to fundraise and to get donations, and we have two times a year that we ask people for for donations during the spring and at the end of the year. So, and that's we set a goal every year of how much we'd like to raise, and we try to be realistic, but we also try to make sure that we can maintain that. So that's helped.
I'm trying to start a cooperative housing
where members get and make their own decisions.
where members live together and make their own decisions.
Their house
Do you think the residents of Build House would do well in an environment like that?
I don't, not these particular, residents, because they're so low functioning. So they really, don't have the capacity to be able to live, somewhat independent. They do require a lot more care than, someone who's higher functioning, and who, with they're developmentally disabled, and then they have other major health issues in terms of, so that it would be difficult for this particular group. So.
How are major decisions made? Are they made by the parents?
For the most part, they're it's a team effort. I make all the decisions here. I report to a board. Anything that has to do with the children and any kind of medical issues that they need, I contact the parents, and the parents will sign off on anything. But any major decisions that need to be made, they're made by me.
Back to the staff.
Private donations, do they also pay the staff?
Do the private donations also go to pay the staff?
The private donations, as well as the Medi-Cal benefits, everything is kind of put into one large, pot, and then we kind of slice it up. So most of the salaries are paid by Medi-Cal, through the funds that we get for each consumer to live here, the residents to live here. So that's how they're paid.
Is there a high turnover among the staff?
Is there a high turnover amongst the staff?
There can be. When I first came, there had been. We did pretty well in terms of, we had a couple of people that stayed for probably 2 or 3 years. We're just now going through a little turnover now, and we have a couple of vacancies. So I try to make sure that we can offer benefits that are competitive to other agencies, and just so that people want medical, and they want a 401k, and they want to have that kind of security. So I've worked really hard to try to make sure that we can offer a package that is attractive to someone so that they want to stay.
Well, thank you. Those are all my questions for the interview.
Oh, okay.